What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Sefton Hill and Jamie Walker, their new studio that, we've known about it for a while. There's a new rumor connected to Xbox, funny enough, and I want to go over the rumor. I also want to discuss these two, really with all of the stuff that we've been experiencing put behind us, right, with Suicide Squad. I think it's a good time to go back and say, how much blame do these two deserve? And why would that be important? Well, they were going to release a new game. It sounds cool. It sounds big. Again, Xbox is behind it seemingly. So it's like, okay, well, where do you set your expectations for this game? I think you set it in different places depending on how much you blame these two for what happened to Suicide Squad. We'll get there. But let's read the actual rumor itself. It comes from Video Games Chronicle, and they talk about, actually, it came from Xputer before that. And basically, they're working on a AAA single-player action-adventure title powered by Unreal Engine 5. I don't think that part's new, but it might be. Microsoft is said to be financing the project, which can initially be expected to be released for Xbox consoles and PC. And if you read the original report, that's kind of the breakdown, the summary of it, where at least right now, the report is it would literally just be Xbox exclusive, so Xbox and PC. But in the article, it says, well, because of what's going on with Xbox and Microsoft right now, by the time you get this game, who knows? Who knows if that would happen? To throw in my 2 cents real fast, I do think by the time a game like this comes out, I don't know, like so much can happen by then. I would imagine most Xbox games, maybe even the big ones, the Gears of War and Halos of the world, and even if it's not those, if you get the Starfields, if you get the Dooms of the world, right? If those start to come out on PlayStation, even day one, or even say 6 months, a year after they come out, by the time this game releases, which is probably at least 2 or 3 years away, this game might also come out on PlayStation. So the report is just Xbox, but if you're worried about PlayStation, you might not have to be because maybe that changes as time goes on. Okay, that's pretty much it. They've continued to grow the studio. I think they got pretty close, if not hit that 100 industry veteran thing. A lot of the people they've acquired to work with them, some of them at least, have come from Rocksteady. I think 20 plus people have specifically come from Rocksteady, and they were kind of higher level positions. So I will say a couple of things, right? If you're worried or if you're happy or whatever, I think you can say, if you think Rocksteady isn't what they used to be, and I think that's very fair to say Rocksteady is not what it used to be, well, you might actually find joy in the fact that, 20 higher level people, including the founders, the highest you can go of Rocksteady, they're now working together on another game. So there's that synergy there. And again, if you're saying, the old timers, the people that made the Arkham games back in the Stone Ages, they were the good employees, and now who knows what they have. Well, a lot of those people have shifted over just to work on this game, okay? So I look at that as a positive, or at least generally look at it as a positive, but I want to throw a little controversy your way, okay? And you let me know what you think about this in the comments. I tweeted this. It's hard for me to put no repercussions or no blame on these two. Now, there's been reports, right? People have talked about it, and I think even Jason Schreier has gone a little bit in more detail as to these two specifically. It is possible that they kind of pitched the idea knowing how hard it is to pitch games, knowing how hard it is to get games, off the ground. And they might have pitched. In fact, actually, no, you can take this part out, right? We know that Rocksteady themselves pitched the idea. We know because everybody online keeps telling us, right? There was the whole Sweet Baby Inc. thing back and forth, but so many people kept saying, hey, a lot of this stuff was actually written by Rocksteady. Okay, so if you don't like the writing, if you don't like the core concept of what Suicide Squad is, we've been told by insiders and we've been told by Rocksteady developers themselves that they did this. Well, where does the blame go then? And we talked about this, right, with what does WB do with these people, right? Like, you look at Suicide Squad, and look, I've always tried to stay respectful, and I still want to stay respectful now. Are there people that like it? Yes, but you have to look at the cold, hard facts. The game is dying. The game is literally on its last legs. There is no interest in it in the grand scheme of things, right? I really don't think it's going to last long. What does WB do? Especially, and we talked about this part, right? If they did it to themselves, it's not even like many times this happens in the industry, WB would go to them and say, you are going to make this, you are going to do that. That happens all the time, including in WB. But we've been told now multiple times from multiple different places, Rocksteady did all of this to themselves. Now, again, we've discussed that, but where does that leave these two? Now, I think they shoulder a good amount of the blame. They don't shoulder all of it. There are hundreds of people there. They all have some responsibility, maybe some of the writers, maybe some of the, I had a huge problem with the design of Suicide Squad. It's the same 5 missions. They're very repetitive. They're very boring. They're not engaging enough. That was a huge thing, even going back into my review a couple months ago. So let's blame those people. Like, who do you want to blame? You know what I mean? But these two are like the heads. It doesn't get higher than these two. So for those that are, because I've seen this on Twitter, for those that are celebrating not just the studio, but, okay, now Xbox has another big game, or, and Xbox is financing it, so they're literally giving them the money to make this game. Oh, thank God these guys got out. They made the Arkham games. They got out before Suicide Squad got bad, and now they're doing their own thing. We should be overjoyed. Look, new games excite me. It always has. That's always happened. It always will happen, okay? It's something with my mind. So, yes, is there a part of me, or I just gave the answer away. Is there a part of me that's excited for their game? Yes. Like, will I be covering it and, interested in it? Absolutely. But I think it would be pretty naive of us to just say, well, they got out before Suicide Squad got rough. They left at the end of 2022. Don't forget, the game was supposed to come out like years ago, and then it kept getting delayed. In fact, remember, it was supposed to come out last year, and they delayed it. So this game, even from when they left, and I mean, in the writing, or in their kind of write-up right as they left, they say the game is almost done. That's why they left, is because the game felt almost done, and they were ready to get out of there. So you could say, did they abandon ship early to avoid the backlash, or did they see, and were they, because here's a couple ways it can go, right? Maybe they were not happy with how things went. Maybe they did pitch it, and they were trying their best to make it one way, and then things just kind of got out of hand, right? That could have happened. But they also could have absolutely been responsible for so many of the bad things, and they just left. Now, you can still make a good game after making a bad game. Or these are all things to keep in mind, just because even if you want to go down that line, right, that they made, say, the entirety, of Suicide Squad, it's not to say you can't rebound. Rebounds happen all the time, right? But, again, I don't think it's really fair to say, oh, they deserve none of it. They saw the writing on the wall. They were sitting in their offices. Meanwhile, the studio was burning down, losing talent, making a bad game. They saw it all, but they didn't touch it. They had nothing to do with it. And then they left right as the game was about to come out, and they made their own studio, so we should be so, overjoyed. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's what happened. I think that's throwing really every worker under the bus, which is fine because, workers did work on it. So, who do you want to blame? But these two also worked on it, and these two maybe pitched it in the first place, right? So that's where I'm at. I do blame them. I blame them to an okay extent, to be honest with you, and I don't think they deserve zero blame. Like, they saw this fire in their own office down the hall, and they had nothing, even though they're the heads of the studio, they had nothing to do with it. I just don't believe that at all. They had to have something to do with what happened with Suicide Squad. So, that makes me less excited. It does, I got to be honest. It makes me less excited for what comes. Is there no excitement? No. Is there second chances in the gaming industry? Yeah. Again, all these things you have to keep in mind. So I'm excited for their game, and I want to see what it is, but I'm not going in thinking these are our saviors. These guys made the Arkham game. They did. They did make the Arkham games, but they also made a really bad game too. So I'm not going to ignore that and just pretend like that never happened, right? That's kind of where I'm at. But that's just my opinion on it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they literally had nothing to do with Suicide Squad. I doubt it, but you can let me know in the comments. So you let me know. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.